Hey guys, so this is going to be part one of the build of the C24, and we're working in this section here. It's a little confusing, to be honest. Took me a minute to figure out what parts I need for this, but it says it is the installation of the connecting rods, transmission shaft, and the truck bottom. I need the chassis, I need a couple parts out of here, and I think I need the shocks and all that stuff too. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started, see how this goes. I need 4 of these bent connecting rods. So if you look, this one has like curve over here, right? You can see how it's coming down like that. And this one looks similar, but different. It's a little less of a curve, a little shorter. Based off the picture, you have your rails right here. So you gotta put that little like cup end into the chassis frame. Then you screw it in right there. It was a little tricky to hold, but that went in a lot easier than a lot of the screws on my B14. Way easier. That wasn't bad at all. So that was interesting. Now let's go ahead and do the same thing on the back side. Okay. So I just re-looked at the instructions. These number 1 connecting rods, they go in the same exact spot. So you do 2 on the front, 2 on the back, right? In these top little sections. Then the shorter one, which this makes more sense now that I know why it's shorter, less of a curve, go in the bottom hole in the front and back. So that's how you put these together. Let's say the most difficult part about doing this is my fingers, man. Look at, I don't know if you could see, but I got all these like little marks and stuff just from where I'm holding it. All right, good to go. You know, if I learned anything in the B14 build, it was to take my time. Don't rush it. Enjoy the process. And if I'm sitting here struggling on a certain part of the build, if I can't get the screws started or something, relax, take it slow, work on it the next day. You know, I see a lot of videos. Oh, there we go. I just had to tighten them just a smidge more, half a turn, and now they're all nice and tight. But yeah, I'll see a lot of people who build kits and they're like, oh, it took me like an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours. I mean, sure, if that's what works for you, great. But I know for me, one, I don't get a lot of opportunities to buy new RC kits, so I want to enjoy them as much as I can. And 2, I'm in no rush. Like, if I take it slow, I get a lot more days of happiness of building and tinkering than I do of, okay, let's get this done in an hour, drive it a little bit, and then I'm like, what else can I build? So it kind of spreads out time. One thing to keep in mind. With that being said, I'm gonna wrap it up. Got these chassis rails made. It's late, I'm tired. I realized I didn't get too far in my last video. All I built was threw on a few screws, right? So I'm gonna continue this out a little further. And it looks like the next step to me, this is the transmission shaft. It's actually this. This is the piece I'm looking for. Thought it was a diff in the picture, but it's a transmission shaft. This top arm here connects into this little metal section, like so. And I'm assuming this is gonna go to the diff. But I haven't gotten that far. But yeah, that's what it looks like. This lower one goes to the diff. So I'm gonna go ahead and screw that on. Should be pretty simple. So I've got pretty big hands and there is not a lot of clearance for me to get the screw in there. So this seems to be the technique. You kind of angle one side of your chassis rail or your chassis brace. I'm not really sure correct terminology there. And then you could balance it while you go ahead and screw it in. So that seems to be what the best approach is if anyone's struggling with it. So I got this first one on and I looked kind of ahead a little bit, and the longer arm goes right here underneath. And I think, if I'm looking at it correctly, the diffs actually go where these holes are right there. That's where I think the shorter diff goes. Not 100% on that yet. We'll figure that out when I get to it. And I believe these shocks are what connect here. So, sorry for the confusion, but hey, we're figuring it out together. I hope me going through it helps you, and hopefully there's no errors for you. All right, so I have that assembled. You can see what it looks like. Starting to look more like the frame of a truck. Next step as installing the motor mount, but doesn't like show us where it goes, which is kind of strange. So it kind of skips ahead to that. Like basically I have to skip 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. Sorry, five steps to get to the motor mount, even though it's showing this in the next picture, which I don't fully understand. But you could, if you can see there, you got 3 screw holes, 1, 2, 3. So you're just gonna line those up with the chassis and put them bad boys in. I feel like the motor mount, I don't think it's gonna be in the way of anything, so I'm gonna go ahead and screw it in now. It might come to bite me, but it should be easy enough, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. That way I have it kind of buttoned up, looking a little more like a truck, and then I'll call it a night for this part 1 of the build. All right, so I got the motor mount on there. I did not screw it all the way in, and I only did these 2 screws just in case I need to take it out. But also, I'm working with this tiny little screwdriver right now. It's what works best for the screws if I'm doing it by hand. But I have a little electric drill that's not very powerful from IKEA. I used that in the B14 video if you saw that. It is downstairs charging. Can't use it right now, but I will be using it to go through and tighten all these screws once I get the chance. But that's gonna conclude part 1 of the build. Chassis braces, the connecting rods and the transmission mount, and the motor mount, all assembled, ready to go, kind of, minus the lack of poor screws, right? And then off camera, my son Caden, he likes to be involved with RC. He's 4 years old. He can't do a lot of this yet, but he went ahead and assembled my tires for me. So he's got the wheels and tires all together. It's pretty simple. I help stretch it over a little bit for him, but he does a pretty good job. You know, these are nice soft rubber tires that come with the kits. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in part 2 when I work on building the truck body and interior. I'm excited for that. Looks kind of tricky, but it should be a fun little build. I'll see you next time. Peace.